Good morning, students. Hope you are enjoying your online classes. This is Anup Kalita, course trainer for Food and Beverage Service. We will be discussing about different basic cuts of meat and fish. Today, particularly, we will be discussing about cuts of beef. After completion of this lesson, the students will be able to understand importance of knowing different cuts of meat and fish and will be able to identify and locate various cuts of beef. Before starting the lesson, let's understand why it is important to know various cuts of meat and fish. This information is crucial because each of the different types of meat has a different flavor and texture, of which they determine cooking method and time. The different cuts of beef are determined by which part of the cow they came from. Some parts are harder than the others due to the way the muscle in that part are exercised. For example, cuts from the neck and legs tend to be the toughest due to this part of the body being the hardest work. So, the temperature and the cooking process which will be required to cook this particular cuts of beef will be different from those part of the beef which are less, less tougher than this cuts. Now let's start with our current lesson, the different cuts of beef. Before starting this lesson, it is very important to know what is beef. Beef is the meat of a cattle. It is categorized as red meat. As you can see in the slide, beef can be harvested from cows, bulls, heifers, or steers. The world's largest exporters of beef are Brazil, India, Australia, and United Kingdom. Now let's learn what are the different cuts of beef. During butchering, beef is first divided into primal cuts. Primal cuts are the pieces of meat initially separated from the carcass. Now let's list down the different cuts of beef which are found. First, chuck, then brisket, shank, rib, plate, short loin, flank, sirloin, tenderloin, top sirloin, bottom sirloin, and round. Here there are two shanks. First is foreshank and then hindshank. Now let's start understanding the different cuts of beef individually. Our first cut is beef chuck. As you can see in the slide, the highlighted part here in this slide is called chuck part of beef. This part is consisting of the neck, shoulder blade and upper arm. Beef chuck is a tough cut of meat with a good deal of connective tissue. This makes it a good choice for making braised dishes like pot roast. Because of its fat content, beef chuck is also excellent for ground beef. Now we will understand the beef rib. We also call it prime rib sometimes. Beef rib is made from the center section of rib. The beef rib primal cut is used for traditional standing rib roast. It's also the source of popular rib eye steak. Because it's so tender, beef rib is well suited for various forms of steaks and roast. Beef brisket. Beef brisket is another very tough cut from the beef. It is usually the under chest part of a beef. It is one of the most universally loved cuts around the world, and it is mainly used for pot roasting. Beef plate. Sometimes it is also called as short plate. You can see the highlighted part in the slide is beef plate. Here in this part of the cattle, the beef plate is found. Beef plate includes the short rib, which is used for making grilled and sliced beef. Beef plate contains a lot of connective tissues, so it is good for braising. It's also used for making ground beef. Now you will understand what is beef shank. In the slide, you can see there are two highlighted areas. This part of or this cut of beef is called shank. It is to note that each slide of beef has two shanks, one in the forequarter and one in the hindquarter. The beef shank is the leg of the animal, and it is extremely tough and full of connective tissues. Beef shank is mainly used in making the luxurious Italian dish called ossobuco. Now we will understand another cut of beef, that is beef short loin. You can see the slide. The highlighted part is where we will get the short loin from. Beef short loin is where we get many of the most desirable cuts of meat, including T-bone and porterhouse steaks, as well as the strip loin or strip steak. Dry heat cooking is best for tender cuts of meat from short loin. What is beef sirloin and beef tenderloin? It is another tender cut. Beef sirloin is an excellent choice for barbecuing and roasting, possibly the finest cut of beef. The beef tenderloin is found inside the loin and is where we get filet mignon, which is made from the very tip of the pointy end of the tenderloin. Beef tenderloin should only be cooked using dry heat methods such as broiling and grilling. This is to make you understand that tenderloin is the most tender part of meat found in the whole beef. Now we will understand what is beef flank. As you can see, the highlighted part in the slide is beef flank. Beef flank is mainly found in the belly of the beef. Though often grilled, beef flank can be tough when prepared, so it is usually marinated first to make the meat a little tender. Beef flank is much better suited for making ground beef or for braising. The last cut of beef is beef round. As you can see in the slide, the highlighted part of the cattle is beef round. The beef round primal cut basically consists of the back leg of the steer. The round is fairly lean cut but also tough since the leg muscle gets a lot of exercise. Beef round is best prepared using moist heat, and it's a good choice for making roast. Subprimal cuts which we can get from the round are top round, eye round and bottom round. Hope you have understood what is being taught in today's lesson. Thank you.